Now notice that I have a couple of images up on screen here. One is a fairly well-known piece of artwork by Michelangelo, and the other is a less well-known scan of a piece of crumpled paper. Now what I want to do is take this crumpled up piece of paper and use it to generate a repeating pattern. I'm then going to overlay that pattern onto the sculpture and then trace the sculpture using Photoshop 7's amazing wealth of natural, organic, customizable painting tools. So let's start with the paper texture here. I'm going to bring that image to front, and then I'm going to go up to the filter menu and choose the new Pattern Maker command, which also has the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-Option-X or Control-Shift-Alt-X on the Windows side. Now notice when you choose this command, you bring up this immense dialog box that basically amounts to a pattern-making utility running inside Photoshop. Now I'm going to get the zoom tool and click inside the image until this value down in the lower left corner of the dialog box says 100%. So we know we're seeing the pixels inside this image at a 1:1 zoom ratio. Then I'm going to go up here and get this marquee tool, and I'm going to select this one area that I want to use to generate my repeating pattern. To create a pattern inside the Pattern Maker dialog box, you then click on the Generate button. It's really that simple. You just select an area, click on Generate, and see what Photoshop comes up with. If you don't like what you see, just click on Generate again, and Photoshop will generate another random variation on this pattern. Don't like it? Click Generate again. Click Generate again. Keep clicking it until you come across something you like. And if you want to be able to compare different versions of the pattern that you've seen so far, you can come down to this Tile History area in the bottom right corner of the dialog box, and you can click these arrows to scroll from one pattern variation to another. Now in my case, I happen to like this second one best, but my concern is that I'm repeating this area over and over again in a square fashion. And notice if I select this Tile Boundaries checkbox right here, I can see these green tile boundaries that show me where one tile ends and another one begins. And so I can see exactly where the border between the boundaries is. Now I can reduce or expand the size of the boundaries using these sizing options right here, and oftentimes it helps to make the tile rectangular as opposed to square. So I'm going to change the width value to 350, making it a little bit wider, and I'm going to change the height to 250, making it a little bit shorter. Then I'm going to click Generate again to see what Photoshop comes up with. And now we can see these nice rectangular boundaries, a little wider than they are tall. I can also choose to offset these boundaries from each other by choosing one of the options from the Offset pop-up menu. For example, I could select Offset Horizontal and then click Generate again to see what Photoshop does with that. And notice it lays out these rectangles in sort of a brick formation. So we have brick tiles being laid and offset in rows, and offset by 50% of the width of the tile according to this amount value here, which I can change if I want to. Once I see something I like, I'm going to go ahead and click on this tiny little disk icon at the bottom of the dialog box, which allows me to save this pattern for later use. So I'll click on this icon and then name the pattern. And I'll name this pattern Paper Bricks to show me that these are being laid out in brick formation. Okay, I like that. Then I can choose to do one of two things. I can either click OK to fill my entire image with this repeating pattern, or I can click Cancel and use the pattern elsewhere. In my case, I'm just going to go ahead and click Cancel because I saved out my pattern, and it turns out I don't want to fill this paper texture image with the pattern. I want to fill this Michelangelo face image right here. So I'm going to press the Tab key now to bring back my palettes, and notice currently that this image is a single layer image. I think I'd like to go ahead and create this pattern on a separate layer so that I have more control over it. So I'll go ahead and create a new layer by pressing Command-Option-N or Control-Alt-N on the PC. This is the standard shortcut for creating a layer that Photoshop has had for some time now. And I'll name this layer simply Pattern and click OK. Now to fill the pattern layer with the repeating pattern that I just got done creating, I'm going to go to the Edit menu and choose the Fill command. Now by the way, I should say this is not the only way to fill a layer with a pattern. This is just the way that I'm choosing to do it for this specific example. So I'm going to go to the Use pop-up menu here and choose the Pattern option. and I'm going to click on this down pointing arrowhead to select the custom pattern that I want to use. And notice at the end of my list is this pattern I just got done creating, Paper Bricks, which measures 350 by 250 pixels per tile. So this is exactly what I want. I select this option. I can set the blending mode and opacity if I want to. In my case, I'm just going to leave those alone and click OK. And I've now filled my entire image with these repeating paper bricks.